Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about the report of the Center for Social Justice, and Mr. Onyekpere was telling us how government projects on renewable energy and off-grid, in his view and based on his findings, are actually discouraging people and turning them off these particular forms of power. I'd like to bring in the independent producers of energy at this point, Mr. Abila-Odunuwo and also Mr. Shego. I mean, what is your experience with regulation and policy and legislation as far as your ability to exploit this technology that you say you have and which you believe could actually solve Nigeria's power problems?
Well, actually, the recent draft of mini-grid policy from NERC, it's far better than anything we've ever seen. We come from the school of thought that you need to get started before you can actually achieve anything. So while the policy says the DISCO needs to approve, and then when they're ready and developed to meet the demands, you have to pack up. We don't see that happening in a long time. And I think if you've deployed solutions that give you ROIs of less than 3 years into those communities, return on investment in less than 3 years into those communities, you should be able to make your money back. Now, what I want you to understand is that hybrid systems is what we've used in telecoms successfully to power majority of the base stations that you see. And the ROIs, when we deployed them...
Let's be clear. When you talk about hybrid system, are you pushing for more generators?
We're pushing for a combination of solar, batteries, and generators, where it invariably reduces the number of hours your generator works.
Now, I want to share something with you. I got a bit of information out of the Nigerian budget about how much Nigerians spend on generator fuel per year. We're talking about 3.5 trillion naira, I understand, and that we lose $22 billion every year because of power shortages. And more than 9 out of 10 Nigerian businesses are small and medium enterprises that rely, on power that is not from the grid. This is something that when people look at them, it's huge amounts of money. And there are those who wonder whether spending this on fuel doesn't amount to just throwing money away, when if you went with Shegu's solution and paid your initial money, after a while you pay very little for electricity or maybe nothing at all.
We can't discard Shegu's solution, but we also recognize that Shegu's solutions cannot power hotels, cannot power businesses that have 20 air conditioners. If they're going to have to do that, then they will require a bit of land, and battery storage that makes the capex unreasonable.
Is that the case, Shego?
Well, I don't quite agree with that. I mean, I like looking at practical, case studies, what has been done. I mean, I have a friend who has an office somewhere in Lekki, and it's completely powered by solar. And he has about 6 or 7 air conditioners in his office.
And he doesn't supplement this power with anything?
No, he does. It's completely solar. Right. I mean, the others, the backup, okay, let me use that right word. The backup now is the grid. So the grid becomes the backup for him. So that's an example. I can also say an example of a house in Abuja here, and good enough one of the developer is in the house, that is completely off-grid. I mean, an apartment, about 10 blocks, and it's completely powered by solar. No generator, no grid currently. So this is, I mean, it's possible, it's doable. Okay, so for us in the association, we are completely renewables. Okay, so we look at renewable technologies. We're not saying generators should disappear immediately right now, but we're saying gradually we can displace these generators with alternatives that are cheaper, more efficient, cleaner, and in the long run makes more economic sense.
And yet we have plenty of coal, is it? Yeah. And people have made the argument that,
keep coal in the ground. Keep coal in the ground.
We should actually start exploring our coal sources. In addition to coal, I've also heard people are touting the possibility of using nuclear power in this country. What are your thoughts regarding these other sources of power?
Just keep coal in the ground. That's my first goal, because I know that more advanced countries like Germany are shutting down their coal plants. And if Japan could not manage Fukushima with the nuclear energy crisis, how will Nigeria be able, unless we're intent on committing mass suicide in Nigeria? That's the only way I can vote for a nuclear power plant, because first of all, we like shortcuts, and we don't have the technical capacity to manage such, so I will never vote for that. Although if you come to our budgets, you see them. It doesn't make sense, and in the long run, it will be a white elephant project. But I'm worried, sir, about the idea of having a project, a renewable project that gives you a return on investments in 3 years. Yeah. It will definitely be out of the affordability of the common man who you want to supplement. It's not. I don't see how you can do that in 3 years. It will be so highly priced that very few people can afford it.
Okay, so and if the issue of cost is an issue, I want to come back to regulation and to policy, because the government has said that by 2030, they are looking at the possibility of 30% of all power generated in Nigeria being coming from renewables. And we're lucky, I think, in the audience, we have Assistant General Director from the Ministry of Power, who I think has worked extensively on that policy. I'm trying to understand, if I may, Mr. Farouk, if I can bring you in at this time, how exactly do you intend to achieve 30% renewables by 2030? What are the challenges that you see, and are you intending to work with people like the independent energy producers we have sitting on this panel, and in what particular way?
Thank you very much, Adria.
If you could just reintroduce yourself properly, please, so that people are...
Okay, my name is Engineer Farouk Yusuf. I'm a Deputy Director, actually, in the Renewable Energy and Rural Power Access Department in the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. Now, there are normally certain channels through which you can procure renewables. These are through competitive procurement, where you buy and put into the grid. You can as well set up small grids, like we've been discussing with the other partners. And the main challenge has always been that of the barrier of policy, financing, capacity, and so on. And I think so far, the government has been doing quite a lot. Starting from 2010, we currently have a dedicated renewable energy and energy efficiency policy, which set clear targets, strategies, and measures through which private sector can engage. We've also lately been able to come out with the mini-grid regulation, which we work together with NAC. That regulation is meant to show clear path of determining tariffs based on existing MITO, and then also give clear idea as to what happens when the grid gets there. These are the key challenges that developers have been facing over the last couple of years. And I think our friend Otumba did allude to the risk of probably somebody coming in and then asking you to get out of the place. There are clear pathways through which these systems can be paid for, or an option of continuing to do your commitment. Thank you.
Now, I want to bring in the MD of NBET, because my understanding, layman's understanding as things are, is that one can actually produce renewable power if you're sort of giving it to individual homes, but that there are issues around licensing if you want to give power to communities like Abila-Odunuwo wants to do.